Hello there guys, and welcome to another Forza Horizon 5 video on my channel. So I am back with another festival playlist walkthrough for you, and we'll see how long it will be, whether it will be a full walkthrough, but definitely more than last week where we only had some seasonal tunes. I am going to try and cover all of the events in this festival playlist this week. I've got a bit more time to put into this video, so I will try my best to explain everything as I usually would. So it will be a bit longer. As you know, a short video on my channel is never short, and when I say like a standard length video, it is usually really long, but hopefully I put explanations in that help you all. Hopefully the waffle is actually useful, and you can let me know in the comments. But in this video we're going to be covering the winter dry season of Series 36 Horizon Cars and Coffee. If you haven't yet checked out the Horizon Cars and Coffee Evolving World feature at the end of the roundabout, the western end of the roundabout of the highway, I would highly recommend that you do that. It's very cool, good photo opportunities. You can drift around the little coffee shop. You can even buy yourself a virtual coffee if you want to from the two people that are in the kiosk if you want to. It is very cool. And this week we have got the Mazda MX-5 RF from 2022 to unlock as our exclusive reward. I am currently driving last week's reward, so you'll see in the main bulk of this intro I am driving the VW SP2 from 1976, a car that I said last week I've never even heard of, and I haven't had a chance to upgrade it yet, but it's an interesting looking car, and we are driving this around. But like I said, this week we've got a brand new Mazda MX-5, well, not brand new because it's 2 years old, but relatively brand new Mazda MX-5 to take a look at, and that is what you'll be primarily working towards in this week's festival playlist. And then in this video I'll be taking you through all of the challenges. Like I said, I'll give you tips and tricks for all of them, so anything that I think that you need to know I will let you know in this video, like what you need to do, whether you need co-op for it, and things like that. And I'll also give you cars and tunes as well, so I'll have picked out a selection of cars that I have tuned in my garage for each event following the restriction, and each of those will have a corresponding tune. If I don't say otherwise, and it's highly likely that I won't, because generally I tune my own cars, and the only other tunes that I tend to use are from subscribers and channel mods and stuff like that. Dobre especially, and a few of his designs as well are on my cars, well, quite a lot actually. So apart from that, all the tunes should be mine, so if I don't specify otherwise, the gamer tag that you need to use for those tunes is Shylo 2017 with a capital S, although I don't think it matters with capitals, because it kind of just block capitalises it anyway. But that is the gamer tag you'll need to use. I tend not to use share codes just because they don't really work for my game, so it seems a bit pointless for me sourcing all of the share codes, which does take quite a lot of time because Forza's nice and easy to use, as we all know. So just use my gamer tag, and there'll probably only be one tune for each car, and if there's more than one, it'll more or less be pretty obvious which one it is because it'll be in the correct class. And if you've got any questions about what tune it is or anything else throughout the video, just let me know. You can let me know in the comments. I'll always reply to your comments in the comment section below the video. If you want to, you can send me a message on Xbox as well. You might need to add me first because privacy settings are a bit messed up. For some reason now I have to have permission to do stuff even though I've got adult settings on. It's very bizarre. So you might need to add me first, but you can leave a comment if you want to do that. You can also use Discord as well if you want to send me a message on Discord, private message on Discord. My username on there is Shylo 2017 with a lowercase s. So that is how you can contact me if you have any questions through anything we cover in this video. If you want any extra tunes, if you want any extra advice, if you want any visual demonstrations of me doing any of the things. We will have a gameplay of me completing the PR stunts in this video, on the main map at least. But if you want anything else, just let me know and I will try my best to provide that for you. And this video will probably go out on Monday the 5th because I'm recording it right now on Sunday evening, Sunday the 4th. So by the time I've edited it up, it'll probably be probably Monday the 5th in the evening. So depending on where you are in the world, you probably have about 3 days left of the playlist. Unfortunately, it is quite hard for me to get videos out now within the first few days of the season before the weekend, and I always have stuff going on the weekend, so it is quite difficult, but I try my best. And if this stuff helps you, then do leave a comment. The support is really appreciated. We are approaching 400 subscribers as well. So, without any further ado, I'm going to cut the waffle. We'll take a quick look at the rewards, because I've already mentioned about the Mazda, but we'll just take a look at the 40-point reward and also the series reward as well for Series 36, and then we'll jump into the sections and we'll be working through it section by section. We've got the Forzathon section, we've got the season events, challenges, monthly events, and finally expansion events. And I'll be covering all of those challenges, so there should be nothing that I miss out. And if you want to use the chapters, which should be in the description within 24 hours of upload, you can jump to different sections and challenges. And obviously then if you've watched the video in full and you want to just recap on one or two bits, you can use the chapters to skip to different parts of the video, and hopefully they'll be on, like I said, within 24 hours of upload. So let's get into the rewards, and then we'll get straight into the Forzathon events section. Right then, so now I've wasted 7 minutes, we'll quickly run through the rewards. I got a bit carried away there whilst I was driving that VW, but like I said, the Mazda is your 20-point reward. It's exclusive. It was added with the Series 36 update, and currently the only way to unlock it is by playing the festival playlist and getting 20 points this week. Hopefully should be quite easy, but it'd take you around 20 minutes to half an hour there, depending on what kind of challenges you pick and in what order you do them. But if you watch through all of my video, then you can pick and choose what you want to do depending on what takes your fancy, or you might even work through it in chronological order like I do. It's completely up to you. And then we have another sports car for 40 points, the 2022 Subaru BRZ. Basically a Toyota GR86. As you probably know, Subaru and Toyota collaborated on that around 10 years ago when the first one came out, and this is the latest generation. I can't remember what order they added them in the game. I think it was the GR86 first and then the BRZ of the newer versions. But this is the BRZ from Subaru, and it's also hard to find exclusive car, so it's not in the auto show as far as I'm aware. You can get it in the auction house. It's probably a few million credits, so I would probably recommend that you play the festival playlist and get it here for free by completing the challenges. And then over in the series for Horizon Cars and Coffee, we've got 300 points in total because we've got 75 points each season and there's 4 seasons. Now, if, like me, you've completed summer and autumn, or at least parts of summer and autumn, you'll probably have already unlocked the 80-point reward of the 2018 Aston Martin Vanquish. That was added in with this update. Like I said, in the past 2 weeks, not really too sure why, because it doesn't seem that special to me, but I haven't driven it yet, so I might change my mind when I do. Nevertheless, it's a very nice car though, and I would recommend that you get this. If you say get 20 points every week, that is the quickest way to do that, or you could even just complete 1 or 2 seasons in full and you'll have that reward. So like I said, you probably already got it already if you've played a bit of summer and autumn. And then for 160 points, you might be able to unlock that this week in winter if you've done summer and autumn, at least in part. If not, you might get it in spring. But if you haven't started any of summer and autumn yet, I'd recommend that you complete as much of this season as you can, and then you'll need a bit of a bit of spring as well to be able to unlock that Ford Mustang for 160 points, and that is the Dobre version of the Ford Mustang. So let's get into the Forzathon events section now that you know what you're working towards, and we'll start off, like I said, with the Forzathon section, and then we'll work through in chronological order. Okay then, so as usual in your Forzathon section you have the Forzathon weekly challenge, the daily challenges, and the Forzathon shop where you can spend your points that you earn in this Forzathon section, and you can also earn Forzathon points from Horizon Arcade, and also from things like the treasure hunt, where sometimes Forzathon points are your reward. Now, a thing to note with this section, with Forzathon points, is there is a house called the La Casa Solariga house. It comes free with the VIP pass. The VIP pass itself is part of the premium edition or add-ons bundle, and with that house you get double Forzathon points in all of them things that I've mentioned, and that's really handy, especially if you're new to the game and you're wanting to purchase cars in the Forzathon shop that are perhaps really expensive in the auto show, and you'd prefer to spend Forzathon points rather than credits. And it's also handy if you just want to get maybe duplicates of cars. Sometimes exclusive cars pop up in there every now and again, and then you might be able to make a bit of profit on that later down the line once the auction house price goes up again. So I definitely recommend you do that, and even if you don't usually spend stuff in the shop, it's handy to have that house anyway, because it gets you accolades, and you just get double Forzathon points. And as you can see with my total, I've got 26,000, so if I ever need to spend them, for example in the Christmas thing where you can buy cars for other people, then it's handy as well for that, from my point of view, to buy cars for other people during that Christmas, whatever it's called thing, Christmas cracker, whatever it's called. So I definitely recommend that you do buy that house. Now, with your Forzathon Weekly Challenge, it will get you 5 points towards your festival playlist, and it will get you 80 Forzathon points or 160 Forzathon points. So you can see what I mean there, because it doubles to 160 Forzathon points if you own that house. And as always, there's 4 chapters, and the challenge itself this week is called Innovation That Excites. Now, it is based on the 2010 Nissan 370Z, so you need to be using that car for all of the challenges, and you need to own and drive it to complete the first chapter, Take It EZE, or Easy. It can be purchased in the auto show. It might be cheaper in the auction house. It just depends, because auction house prices fluctuate depending on availability and demand. So you may find it cheaper there, you may not. But for all it's worth, I would just go and buy it in the auto show if you don't own it already, because it's highly likely that you do. Sometimes you can also find the cars in the festival playlist challenges that you need for other things. So for example, sometimes the Forzathon cars appear as rewards for the championships, and that is the case this week, because you can also win the Nissan 370Z from the championship and magnificent collection. So I'll be covering that later when we get to it, but if you want to complete that first before this Forzathon challenge, to save yourself a few thousand credits, then that will get you the Nissan 370Z as well. But before you apply a tune, if you do want to apply a tune, because I do recommend it and I have one ready for you, before you apply a tune, hang fire, because Chapter 2, Nismo Treatment, wants you to spend 10,000 credits or more on upgrades. So at this point, once you get to this chapter, once you've actually got in your Nissan, you can then apply a tune once you've owned and driven it, and that will complete Chapter 2. Because obviously my tune, even though it is only B class and there aren't many upgrades applied, it is more than 10,000 credits. And if for whatever reason it isn't, or if for whatever reason the tune that you apply isn't more than 10,000 credits, you can just add a few more things on there, or you can buy a secondary Nissan and just spend 10,000 on that one, because it isn't too much. Sometimes it's 50,000 or whatever, but 10,000 for this Nissan should be easy. There's body kits, there's all sorts, engine swaps, and they will easily surpass that. So that should be fairly simple. Then for Chapter 3, you need to earn 200,000 points at drift zones. So for this you need kind of a drift build or something capable of drifting, and that is for Comes Naturally, Chapter 3. Now my tune is a race tune, however it is rear wheel drive, as is the stock car, and so it can also do a bit of drifting, and sometimes when you're racing it, when you're coming out of sharp corners, it does like to do a bit of drifting of its own. So hopefully it should be okay for you to drive, especially if you're new to drifting. Sometimes all-wheel drive cars, whilst they're easier to control, if they're not as powerful like S1 or S2 class like the Formula Drift cars, they can be a bit hard to actually drift, because you have to use the handbrake a bit more, and you have to hold it quite well. So being rear wheel drive, you might spin out quite a lot, but it should be easier to get the slide going. So if you pick a drift zone or drift zones where there's like sharp turns, so for example the one that's at the Horizon Festival Mexico site, that goes over the kind of the bridge on the track. That one's quite sharp, so you'll be able to tuck it in there, accelerate as you're going round the corner, and hopefully the back end will slide out. And you need 200,000 points in total. You don't need 200,000 points in one run, although that would be possible on some drift zones, especially the one that goes down the volcano. But you can do this in as many runs as you like, so even if you get 10 or 20,000 each time, just do it however many times you need to, maybe 10 times or something like that. And you can use the same drift zone, you can use different drift zones, you might even choose an off-road one to help you, because obviously there'll be less grip and therefore it'll slide easier. Completely up to you how you do it, but you just need to get 200,000 points in total. And my tune, whilst it's not the optimum, you might want to pick an actual drift tune, it should be easy enough for you, like I said. And then finally, to round off this weekly challenge, we've got Chapter 4, Synchro Rev Match, which wants you to beat any rival's ghost in the Nissan. So this is where my tune also comes in handy, because it is actually a race tune. So you'll need to pick, if you are using my tune, being B-Class, you'll need to pick a B-Class event. And it'll probably be road racing or street racing. I wouldn't recommend dirt, drag or cross-country. For that matter, because it's rear-wheel drive, as I've already stated, and it's got no grip at all off-road. And you just need to beat any ghost. So ghost is basically you pick another person's time, or the game gives you another player and their time when you select an event in Rivals, a race, route, and a class, and you just got to beat them. So you'll see their car, like in ghost mode, hence why it's called ghost. So you won't collide into them, but it will show you their lines and all of that as they're completing it, and you've just got to beat their time. So if you choose a circuit race, obviously you go around in circuits until you beat the time. If you pick a sprint race or an A to B race, then you've got to beat their time from a standing start. But there's no restriction on what you pick, so you can pick somebody that's like a 2 millionth in the world that's got a really slow time, or even somebody who's got a dirty time that doesn't even count, and just cruise around at an easy speed. Especially if you pick a person that's got a dirty time, doesn't matter what time you get, if it's clean, you'll automatically beat them because their time isn't legitimate because they've flagged it. So I'll explain a bit more on that later when we get to the monthly rivals as well, about what a dirty lap is. But hopefully you'll be able to beat any rival's ghost. If you're a bit of a try-hard, you might want to actually go for it, maybe top 1000 or something. But for this challenge, just beat any ghost, beat any player's time, and that will wrap up the weekly Forzathon challenge innovation that excites. Now then, we have your daily challenges, and as always, there are 7 of them. They release across the week, and as such, you get one releasing every day at season change time, which is currently 3:30 PM GMT, is it? No, 2:30 PM BST, I think. No, 3:30 PM BST. That's right, yeah. Sorry, I got a bit confused there. So they release at season change, and they each last for 7 days, so it means that you don't necessarily have to hop on every day to complete the daily challenge like you did in Horizon 4, where there were only 24 hours. You could wait for a few of them to unlock and then complete them in groups or batches. And it also means that 6 of them, with the exception of the first one, overlap into the spring season. So it means also that you don't have to complete all of them in the current season that you're in. So, for example, this week, the winter season, you can actually, if you're lacking a couple of points come season change and you've got a few daily challenges left, you can actually complete them in spring by just returning to this tab to see what they are, and they will still be active until their 7 days have run out respectively. So they're quite handy there. I'm not going to run through all of them. Obviously the first one, you can see it's about taking a photo at the coffee shop. Very simple, no car is specified, so that should be fairly simple, and most of them generally are fairly simple, but sometimes they can be a bit confusing, sometimes they don't work, that happens. So if you're having any difficulty whatsoever, just let me know and I'll be more than happy to explain them to you, give you some tunes if you need them, give you some gameplay, whatever it is that you need, just let me know, as I said earlier on in the video, and I'll be more than happy to help you out. And then finally for the Forzathon section is the Forzathon shop. Now in here this week, the 2 cars are the Bugatti Veyron from 2011, for 625 Forzathon points. I think that car's around 2.5 million in the auto show, so it's a fairly decent deal. And then we also have the Ferrari F12 TDF from 2015, which is near the top of S1 class. I think it's an average kind of S1 class race car, but it's not mega fast. Of course, the Veyron is a bit crap for racing because it's all straight line speed and not much cornering. But it's still a really, really cool car to have in your garage. The Ferrari for 275 Forzathon points, it's a pretty decent deal again. I think that car's around 500,000 credits in the auto show. So it's completely up to you whether you prefer credits or Forzathon points. Personally, obviously, I've got lots of each, so it doesn't really matter for me. And then we also have a hat, we have an outfit, and we have an emote, as well as the wheel spin and super wheel spin, of which you can get one each. So that is your Forzathon shop for winter, and that concludes the Forzathon section for the winter season of Series 36. Now then, we are going to steam on into the season event section because it is the longest section in the playlist. We will be explaining everything as we go. So in this section, as always, we have the trial. We have 3 event labs this week. We also have a playground games, which we haven't had for a while, seasonal playground games. Then we've got 3 PR stunts, and we've got 2 seasonal championships this week. So a big section, and there'll be plenty of tunes for you to for me to showcase and for you to download in this section. So after each event, I'll pop up the screenshots of the cars that I've got, and as I said earlier, you can just use my gamer tag to search for the tunes, and you'll be able to kind of tell what tunes they are from the stats that they show in the garage screenshots. So we will start off with the trial, which is called On the Circuit. It is based on road racing, this one, and it will get you 10 points towards the playlist. It'll also get you a 2016 Dodge Viper, which you may need later on, hint hint. And the restriction for this one is A-Class Cadillac and A-Class Chevrolet, so you can use a car from either of those manufacturers in A-Class. Obviously they're mostly muscle cars and maybe supercars / sports cars for the Viper. Well, that's not a Cadillac or a Chevrolet, I don't know what I'm on about that, but yeah, basically muscle cars for this one. So they might be rear wheel drive, you may all wheel drive swap them, it's completely up to you. Of course, you've got the Dodge Durango as well if you want to use an SUV. I think that's actually, it's a pretty powerful car, so you may be able to get away with that ramming the AI. But of course, remember with the trial, it is a co-op event. You are on a team with other players, so try not to ram your teammates, and you're working as a team to beat the driver tars. And you get points for overtaking, so 100 points for every overtake, and 50-point bonus for whoever on either team is in first position. You basically got to beat the driver tars by getting more points than them across your team. So again, it's a team event, I must stress that. And it's a best of 3 set of races, so whichever team, you or the driver tars, is the first to 2 wins, takes the championship, basically. So do remember to work as a team, slow the AI down if you need to help your teammates out. That's something I quite like to do, or have to do, because I always end up with the worst players on my team for some reason. That's RNG for you. But anyway, we'll jump into the cars that I've got now then. I think I've covered both manufacturers for this, the Cadillac and the Chevrolet, so we'll head over to my garage and to the screenshots. Just a note with those tunes, the tune on the ATS-V from Cadillac is from one of my channel friends, Wolf. I'll leave his gamer tag in the description for you. And with the other cars that are my tune, massive shout out to Dobre with the Shylo gaming design on the CT4V Blackwing, but that tune and the tune on the Corvette, whilst they are both rear-wheel drive, you will hardly notice it once you are going, especially if you use launch control to get off the line, so do not worry about that at all. The Cadillac is very stable, and the Chevrolet as well, so do not be stressed. They are not power builds, and they do have plenty of grip. Now we move on to the event labs. These are obviously community event labs, and the developers select them out to feature in the playlist. Unfortunately, you do kind of get the same creators appearing, so there's not really many new faces that appear in the playlist. It's kind of the same dozen, half a dozen names. However, they are very, very good events, and the creators that do get featured are very talented. And a fan favourite here is Josie, and this is Plinthcraft Race 2. Which will get you 3 points towards the playlist and a super wheel spin. I'm not really sure what it is, to be honest with you. I'm quite interested to see what Plinthcraft is. And the restriction that you'll need to follow is D500 Micro Car Madness. Now, this isn't a filter in your garage, it's a Horizon special. Again, developers, please add the Horizon specials as filters in the garage, because the only way that you can find out what they are is, well, firstly, you can click view eligible cars here by clicking the pause menu to see, but that only shows the cars that start in the class that it requires in the restriction. But of course, you can tune cars up and down in the classes. So if you want to see all of the available cars in that Horizon Special, you can go to any race event and create a blueprint. And then obviously filter it to whatever it is, so Microcar Madness, and do it any class, and that way you can see all the cars. You might want to make a list or take a photograph, and then you can compare that with the cars that you've got in your garage. Obviously, it would be much easier if they just did it in your garage, and I wish they did, but, you know, I don't think the developers watch my videos, so if any of you want to kind of get my point out there, then that would be appreciated. But the cars on Microcar Madness, you can do that, like I said, with the blueprint, and I have selected, I think I've only got 1 or 2 for this, and unfortunately they are slightly wild tunes, because there's not that much you can do in D-Class, apart from make a crazy power build or a really slow grip build. So you'll see the 2 ends of the spectrum with my cars in this one, so let's go and see them right now. Next up on the Event Lab agenda is Calypso Coastline from Petrolhead 55823, which is apparently a high-speed circuit with easy flowing turns around the wetlands of the jungle, so sounds interesting. And it will get you 3 points and a car horn, Donut Media Honk Honk. Which is the guys from Donut Media making noises that resemble car horns, basically, with all those horns from Donut Media. And the restriction for this one is A-class retro sports cars, so obviously you'll be able to push them quite hard around this circuit, in line with the creator's description there. So let's see which retro sports cars I've got. Make sure it's not modern sports cars, and also make sure you don't do retro supercars. You need to make sure that you get that restriction right, because sometimes in the garage your toggle can jump around, and when I'm making the tunes and dropping my controller like I've just done there, I end up clicking the wrong one, and it's very annoying, so make sure that you do get it right. Finally then, for the event labs of winter, is Grounds Raceway GP from Speed King 555, which is a fully custom circuit by the creator, and it will get you 3 points towards the playlist and a Ferrari 430 Scuderia, I think you pronounce it. And the restriction for this final event lab is S1 class modern supercars. Up next then is the seasonal playground games, and as I mentioned earlier, it has been a while since we've had one of these in the playlist. It is Caffeine Rush, and it will get you 3 points towards the playlist and the Forza Link reward, I Have the High Ground. The restriction for this is B-Class Rods and Customs, which is a slightly interesting in apostrophe marks restriction for playground games, especially because it is at the Baja Arena. So the playground games is based at the Baja Arena with all the sand and dirt, and you are driving rods and customs, which are cars basically from the 50s, 60s, even 30s and 40s, and a bit of the 70s, that just can't really be described otherwise. So it is interesting, and obviously playground games is different to racing, so the tunes have to be different. You want good acceleration, good brakes, you need a car to be nimble, controllable. So I'm not really sure what my tunes are going to be like, but I think I've got two for this. So we'll go and see what they are now. And also remember, in playground games, even if you're on the losing team, you'll still get the reward, actually. So there's no point quitting, just play along, have a bit of fun. There's 3 rounds, and it's a best of 3. So just see if you're on the winning team, and if not, it doesn't matter. We now get to the interesting part of the video, or as some of you might like to say it, because it is the seasonal PR stunts, and as I mentioned earlier, we have some gameplay, so there is a chance that when I show you the gameplay, I might not be able to complete it, because the gameplay that I show you is always my first attempt. It's always live as such, live but not live, if you get what I mean. But of course, if I do fail, I will always go and figure out why I failed, and I'll make sure that in the video you always see the clip of me completing it, so that you know that it's possible. And because of course I wouldn't want you to think that it's impossible. It's usually just me being a bit silly, so do not worry about that. But hopefully you do enjoy seeing me completing it, and of course it should be helpful as well, because it shows you pretty much where you need to be heading from. Some things like speed zones, some speed zones you can go from either end, doesn't really make too much difference, and drift zones and things. But hopefully with my gameplay you'll be able to see the kind of lines that you need to be taking and where you need to be starting off. I've started kind of overcompensating with where I run up for speed traps and that, just because in the past I've got a bit cocky, and I've started not far enough away, and not got up to speed quick enough. But hopefully with these 3 PR stunts that will not be the case, and I think recently I've had a pretty good record of completing them. So we've got a speed trap, which is Callejon, which is in the tunnel in Guanajuato. That speed trap actually features in the intro video to my channel that's been on for a while with the Ferrari F40 clip. Then we have the Precipice Speed Zone, which is up by the Horizon Rush Festival, Drift Zone, sorry, and we have the Pyramid of the Moon Speed Zone. And all of those get you 2 points and a super wheel spin each. They also all require the same car, which is pictured in all 3 of them, and that is the 1997 BMW M3, and it must be B-Class. Now, because we have a drift zone thrown into the mix, I've created 2 tunes for this. One tune is specifically for the drift zone, and the other tune you can use for the speed trap and the speed zone. So you'll notice that there is 2 tunes shared. One of them is PR, ST and SZ for speed trap and speed zone, and one of them is PRDZ for drift zone, so you'll know which is which there, and you'll probably be able to tell which is the drift one, because it's got well, I think they're both rear wheel drive, but the other one's got drag tyres and the drift one's got stock tyres and things, and you'll probably be able to tell anyway which one it is. So I'll go and pop that screenshot up in the garage for you, and then I'll show you the gameplay of me completing them in no particular order. So I hope that you enjoy. Okay, so thankfully I managed to pass them first time, and hopefully my lines have helped you there. And the run-ups I think were pretty safe. So hopefully you'll be able to complete those PR stunts as well. I think I cut it a bit fine with the speed zone. There, the guy that was completing it in my Horizon Live session is still at it about 10 minutes later. Unfortunately, can't really do anything about that though. He is tuned. But hopefully you'll be able to complete all of those PR stunts as well. If you need any further advice, then just let me know. Now we can move on to the seasonal championships. There's two of these to round out the season events section. And remember with these that you can complete them in solo, co-op or PvP. Personally, I'd avoid the PvP option, and if you do want to play it with friends, with a convoy or whatever, go for the co-op option because that works the same way as the trial, and it's a best of three, and at the end of the championship, all of you get the reward, whereas if you do it PvP, only one person, like the overall winner, will receive the reward. So it's better to do it that way. If you choose to do it solo, or you have to do it solo because you don't have co-op, you'll notice that after each race you'll be spawned back into free roam. Don't worry, you haven't been kicked out of the championship. You just need to then drive or fast travel to the other events, and you do have to complete all three events in the championship, unlike with co-op, or at least with co-op there's a chance that you'll only have to complete two. Obviously, with it being a best of three, you might have to do three, but most of the time it's only two. But with solo, you do have to complete all three. And obviously, if you've got fast travel, you can fast travel between the events, and if not, you'll just have to drive. But the events are marked out on the map at the start of the championship, so when you launch the championship, you'll notice that they'll plot out the three races. It includes the one that you've entered to do, and then the other two pop up on the map, and the colours of the championship are reversed. So whereas here you can see the icon, like say in this championship here in the top right, it's a white circuit on top of a red square. Or diamond, however you want to look at that. The colours are reversed, so that means that you'll know which races are in your current championship because it'll be a red on white rather than a white on red, and you just need to enter them other events. And obviously you're racing the AI. This time there'll be 11 AI, and you've got to finish at the top of the pile after all three races. So you can get away with finishing second or third in one or two of the races, but overall you will have to win the championship basically. Now, for the first championship, it is a magnificent collection, and it is based on road racing. It will get you 5 points towards the playlist and a Nissan 370Z. Of course, as we mentioned earlier, you can use that then for the Forzathon Weekly Challenge. And the restriction for this one is A-Class Collector's Series. Now, again, this is a Horizon special rather than a filter in your garage. I'm not going to go on the rant again like I did earlier for Microcar Madness. However, the same principle applies on how you can find out what cars there are. And the car that I have got for this, I think I've only got one car that qualifies, and I didn't bother tuning any others because quite a lot of them they don't really fit into the class, or they're not very good race cars. But the car that I have got, it is in the auto show, and it's actually pictured in this icon here behind the Nissan 370Z. So we'll head over to the garage and I'll show you it in there now. Finally then, for this very long second section, is the Seasonal Championship Be a Good Sport, which will again get you 5 points, and also this time the 1997 BMW M3 that you will of course need for the PR stunts that we've not long covered, so that is another way to get that car. It is in the auto show, so it's not a very good reward, but of course the developers have included it as a bit of a useful bonus if you are looking for an M3 to complete those events. And this one is based on street racing, so of course they are all A to B races. You don't get circuit races in street racing. What you do get though is a lot of nighttime AI on the roads, and flared checkpoints. And the restriction for this one is B-class retro sports cars. Of course, make sure you get retro and not modern sports cars. And also don't get retro supercars either, because sometimes that can happen if your toggle moves around while you try to select them in the filter in the garage. So let's go and see which of those I've got for you. Right then, now we can move on to the third section, which is the challenges section. We've got 3 events in this one, and hopefully this should be nice and easy. Not really any tunes to give you for this one, but a few tips and tricks to help you along the way. We have a photo challenge, we've got a Horizon Open challenge, and we've got collectibles this week as well, which is always nice to see. They are quite fun, and I've got a very nice tip for that one as well. So the photo challenge this week is #AlphaGato, which wants you to photograph any Alfa Romeo on the frozen lake at Gran Caldera, and this will get you 2 points towards the playlist and an orange suit clothing reward, which I assume is what the gentleman or lady, I can't really tell, in that thumbnail that's standing next to the Alpha 155 is wearing there, if you so wish to dress your character in that. Now, what do you need to do? Well, of course, you need to get in an Alfa Romeo to start with, so make sure you do that. Make sure you get in any Alfa Romeo, literally any. It can be the one in the picture here, it can be the Alfa 8C that I've just recommended for the championship there. It can be the Alfa 33S Stradale, whatever you want it to be. Just hop in an Alfa, and then you need to head up to the top of the volcano. Now, it's up to you whether you drive or fast travel. You may need to drive if you don't have fast travel. But you can choose if you have both, and you need to head up to where the lake is, and of course with it being winter this season it's frozen, and you'll notice that there'll be a big frozen patch on the La Gran Caldera. I'll pop a screenshot up for you of roughly where you need. There's a dirt road that goes round it, there's a couple of houses just over the hill there, and it should be fairly easy to spot. It's also where you go in one of the expeditions at the start of the game when you're unlocking the things, the festivals through the Horizon Adventure. You go there, and it's actually filled with lava, but now it's frozen over, and you just need to pat your Alfa Romeo on there, open up photo mode and take a picture, get a bit of the frozen lake in, a bit of your car, and that should complete it, and you should get yourself 2 points and an orange suit. Next up is a Horizon Open challenge, which will get you 2 points towards the playlist and another car horn from Donut Media, which is Trying to Race. And this one is called Cargo Broom. There's lots of puns in the playlist. I think one developer did admit that he was responsible for quite a lot of them puns in the festival playlist. Some of them are better than others. But back on topic, the challenge basically for this Horizon Open event is to earn 6 ultimate speed skills in Horizon Open Custom Racing. So firstly, you need to be in a Horizon Open Custom Racing session. So you can head over to the online tab in your pause menu, head into Horizon Open, and then you'll need to head over to the far right, I think it is, or second to the right, where it says Custom Racing, and then you can basically select your car class and road surface type, depending on what kind of car you want to drive, whether it be A-Class Dirt Racing, S1 Class Road Racing, B-Class Cross Country, whatever you want it to be. Just need to find a session in that desired class and road division. And then you need to earn 6 ultimate speed skills. Now, of course, an ultimate speed skill is when you hit 200 miles an hour or 320 kilometers an hour. And that is usually easily achieved on the highway. So you might get lucky, you might get one of the races that covers a bit of the highway. And of course, if you pick road racing or street racing, you are more likely to get that. And of course, if you also pick road racing or street racing, in street racing, as I mentioned earlier, they're all A to B sprint races. In the road racing, there will be at least 1 sprint race in the session, possibly 2. Out of the 3 that you do in the Horizon Open session, and that will give you a chance to get up to speed. And of course, if you need 200 miles an hour, you need a car that's capable of that, and you also probably want a higher class. So you should be probably aiming for S1 or S2 class when you are finding these events, because that will obviously enable you to pick a car that is capable of 200 but also gets there pretty quickly, because you're not able to just fly down the highway to get 200 miles an hour, so you need a car that's quick acceleration to get up to that 200 miles an hour, and you need to do it 6 times. It doesn't have to be in the same race, it doesn't even have to be in the same session. If you need to go on to the next session to complete it, then that is absolutely fine. But once you've got 6 ultimate speed skills, you will have completed the Horizon Open Challenge Cargo Broom. Finally, for our short and sweet challenges section is the collectibles challenge, which will get you 3 points this time towards the playlist and a Forza Link reward. Gotta smash them all. And for this one, you need to smash 10 coffee cups around the Horizon Cars and Coffee shop at the western end of the highway, which I've already mentioned at the start of the video when I was saying it's a great photo location. You can drift around the coffee shop. And as per it says here, if you head to the western end of the highway, that is the left end of the highway when you're looking at it from the point of view of the world map, and on the roundabout, smack bang in the middle of the roundabout is the stage where you've got the Horizon Cars and Coffee shop. You just need to head on there and you'll notice quite a few coffee cups, as you can see demonstrated in this picture. It looks much bigger on here. They're actually around the height of that Lamborghini, but it looks way bigger because it's close up. So they're not that massive, but they're easy to spot. And you'll also find them. There's a road with some houses on just to the end, off the roundabout. That's got a few on as well. I drove down there yesterday in between recording, and I noticed that there was a few on there. There's probably a few also on the stages around, because around the main stage there's also a couple of other photo stages, and I imagine that there's some on there as well. And you just need to smash 10 of them. Now you may notice that if you're in a Horizon Live session, other people might be doing it at the same time, and they might smash through it, and it might disappear on your screen as well, and you might then not have enough to get 10. So what you can do then is you can go back to Horizon Solo, so you'll be just you and the driver tires, and obviously the driver tires won't be able to smash through these because they don't go on the stage, they just stick to the roads most of the time anyway. And basically you can then smash through one coffee cup, wait till a second or so afterwards, then you can rewind. It'll obviously put the cup back where it was because you're in solo, and then you can come out of rewind and do it again, and then it'll count it again, and then if you do that 10 times, it should then count that as 10 separate smashes, even though you've only used one cup 10 times. But that is hopefully a tip that can help you if you find that other people are nabbing your cups in Horizon Live sessions. So, hopefully then you've completed the challenges section. Moving on then to the penultimate section, which is the monthly events, and basically it is the monthly Rivals events of Series 36. Now, of course, with them being monthly events, you can complete them in any week of the month. You only have to complete them once as well, so it's not a case of you have to complete them in every week. Once you've completed them once, that's it. Unless you specifically want to return to it to improve your time on the Rivals event, you do not need to touch it again. So if you completed it in summer, you won't need to touch it again, and the points will be added on to the other seasons. If you choose to do it this week, the points will be added on to the previous 2 weeks, summer and autumn, and then also on to spring. And of course, you can also complete them next week as well. Or you may choose to complete like 2 this week and 2 next week. It's completely up to you, as long as you complete them at some point in the month if you are wanting to complete these events and get the points. Now, you may notice that the points say 4 points for each event. I haven't completed any of them yet, so if I had, then it wouldn't say that, but there's 4 points for each of them. Well, that 4 points is actually the points that will be added onto the series. So obviously the monthly total for the series count, and then because there's 4 seasons, that will then be divided by 4, so you'll get 1 point added onto each season, summer, autumn, winter and spring, for each of the events that you've got. And then there's 4 events, so in total 4 times 4 is 16, so you'll get 16 points added onto the series, and then 16 divided by 4 is 4, of course, the reverse of that, so 4 points will be added onto the series once you've completed all 4 of them. So you get 4 points added onto summer, 4 points to winter, 4 points to autumn, 4 points to spring. And like I said before, if you complete them this week and you didn't complete them in summer or autumn, then points will be added on to the previous seasons, even though the season has ended, because the monthly events are active all the way through the month or the series. And now the actual objective for all of these are, we've got the Copper Canyon Sprint with the Lamborghini Aventador, we've got the Cathedral Circuit with the AutoZam, the Arch of Mulehay circuit with the Mazda MX-5, and the Mangrove Scramble with the Mitsubishi Pajero, or whatever it is, something like that. Them 2 cars on the right are in the new car pack, which I think I talked about last week or the week before. And then these 2 are festival playlist cars. So, of course, if you don't own the car pack, this is your only opportunity to play with those 2 cars out of the car pack. Now, the objective is to post a clean lap to complete, or on the Copper Canyon Sprint, obviously that's not a circuit, so it's just post a clean time. On the sprint race, but basically you just need to make sure that you don't dirty your lap. So I was talking earlier about in the Forzathon about dirty laps and flagging your lap. And what the way you'll know that is if an exclamation mark pops up next to your time, that means it is dirty. It means that it won't count. It'll still be posted on the leaderboard, but there's almost like the leaderboard split in 2. So there's all the clean times, and then all of the exclamation mark dirty times are at the bottom. So you might have a faster dirty time than somebody's got a clean time, but it'll be far lower down the leaderboard because it doesn't count in rivals. So you just need to make sure that your lap is clean, or your time is clean. So don't miss checkpoints or get your car reset. If you get your car reset, then that will flag your time. Don't hit walls or any other non-destructible objects, because that will flag your time. And don't use rewind, because that will also flag your time. Everything else is fine. You don't need to beat your ghost. So whereas in the Forzathon you did need to beat your rival's ghost, in these monthly events you don't. So it doesn't matter who you get. You just race your own race, make sure it's clean, and then whatever time you get, as long as it's clean, it'll complete this challenge for you. And obviously you need to complete all 4 of them separately, like I was explaining earlier. So hopefully that all makes sense. Hopefully I haven't missed anything out, and that is your monthly rivals section. Okay then, and finally we have the expansion events. Well, that is my grouped version of the Rally Adventure events and the Hot Wheels events, which I basically just combine into one section. Now, on each expansion we have a PR stunt and we have a seasonal championship. I do have to say that, of course, you do have to own these expansions to be able to access these events, because they don't come part of the game as standard. They are part of the expansions bundle, which gets you both the expansions, or they can be purchased as part of the premium add-ons bundle / premium edition. I think bizarrely also the Rally Adventure expansion can be purchased separately if you want to. I think I've read that when I was looking through on the Microsoft Store, which is slightly bizarre, but we'll go with it. But once you have got these expansions, you then also need to play through some career mode first. So you have to play through a bit of it, get to a certain stage before it gives you access to these festival playlist events, so you don't just get to jump into them straight away when you launch the expansion. So you might have to do a couple of hours first, and then once you've done that, it'll be permanently unlocked, and each week then you'll get these expansion events in your festival playlist, and obviously you go over to the expansion to complete them. And now on the Rally Adventure expansion, we will start there. We have the La Cantera Danger Sign, which will get you 2 points and a super wheel spin. And the restriction for that one is A-Class Aerial Nomad. Now you'll notice that you can get an Aerial Nomad from the seasonal championship on the Rally Adventure expansion 2, and that is called In the Hot Seat, based on road racing, or the road racing team on Rally Adventure, which you'll realise when you play through some of the career mode, and that will also get you 5 points, and the restriction for that one is C-Class Retro Hot Hatch. So what we'll do is now we'll go to my garage and we'll look at the aerial and we'll look at the Retro Hot Hatch in C-Class before we move on to the Hot Wheels expansion. Okay then, and finally with the Hot Wheels event, where we have the Horizon Nexus Speed Trap, getting you another 2 points and a super wheel spin, and that one requires A-Class Audi TT-RS. Now there are 3 Audi TT-RSs in the game. There's the 2010, there's the 2018, and there's the recently added 2020, which is practically the same as the 2018. It actually has 6 less horsepower. So that's pretty much the only difference. So make sure that you don't use the 2015 Audi TTS, because that isn't the RS. So there's only 3 options there with that one. And then we have the Seasonal Championship Time to Play, which is based on speed events. That will get you 5 points. And the Audi TTRS, it doesn't specify which, but that one is the 2010 because it is pictured there. And the restriction for this one is S1 class track toys, which I have quite a lot of, as usual, to suggest for you. So let's head up back to my garage for the last time to look at the Audis and the track toys. Okay then guys, and that wraps up the full guide for the winter dry season of Series 36 Horizon Cars and Coffee, and I hope that it has helped you. It's been far longer than I intended, but as I said at the start of the video, no matter what the aim is time-wise, I always go over, so it doesn't really matter setting an aim, to be honest with you, because I never get anywhere near it. However, I do feel that I've been quite good with the explanations in this video, and hopefully those will help you. I know this video is coming late, so perhaps not many people are going to be taking much from it because they've probably already done it, but hopefully some of you will benefit from it. And of course, quite a lot of the tips and tricks that I give in the video can be transferred throughout the weeks. They can be applied to the challenges on a weekly basis, so it doesn't really matter which of my videos you watch in that sense, but then there's also the individual elements of it as well that are applicable to the challenges themselves each week. The tunes, of course, quite a lot of them can be used across events as well. But some of my tunes are also specialised to the events, like the PR stunt tunes and things like that. So hopefully you guys have found it helpful, and I hope you look forward to working towards those 2 sports cars, the Mazda MX-5 and the Subaru BRZ, if you haven't got them already. And also getting your points towards the series as well, the Horizon Cars and Coffee Festival playlist, the Vanquish and the Mustang de Bertie. Now hopefully I'll be back with a video in spring, whether it'll be another full walkthrough like this week or whether it'll be a short walkthrough like summer or a tunes video like autumn is yet to be seen. I just have to take it on a week by week kind of basis and see what comes in the week and what time I've got to produce these videos, but I do try to get something out in some shape or fashion. Obviously I haven't really got time for live streams at the moment, but that will come at some point. And yeah, we'll get back to some kind of regime in the near future, hopefully. But I hope that the video has helped, like I said couple of times already, and I will hopefully be back in spring where we've got the final new car of the month, the VW Thing from 1973, and what an interesting piece of machinery that is. So we'll see what that brings, but until then, enjoy the Winter Festival playlist and I will see you soon. Bye.